everyone, it's Kathy. I have a new project and it's called Busy Bees. And we're going to be using the March 2017 paper pumpkin kit to create this card, and we're going to get started with the tutorial. We're going to be using the black stem right marker and then also grab a pencil. And we're going to use this large bunny ear. And what we're going to do is just sketch out some curved lines and make sure they're a little bit curved, not too curvy, but not straight. And then we're going to redefine that with the fine tip of the black marker. And what we're doing here is we're going to be creating a beehive. And I did switch it over to the wider end to create that door. And then this is where I kind of goofed up. I redefined it with the thick end of the marker, and now my lines are super thick. And I'm not happy with that, but I'm just going to continue on with the tutorial. What we're going to do next is we're going to cut up to the edge of that piece there, and then we're just going to indent or cut inwards towards each of the black lines to create that beehive shape. And we'll just do that all the way around. And then later on in the video, we're just going to shade around that. I did shade it around with the pumpkin pie, but you could very well use something in the brown family color. Now we're going to move on to the next element, and we're going to use the striped Easter egg. And we're going to stamp that out with the black archival. And I found doing the black stripe first much easier than doing the solid color and then the stripe. And so here I am doing the solid yellow over top of the stripe, and these are going to be our bees. And then the next thing we're going to do is grab that bow from the kit in Soft Sky, and we're going to stamp out some bee wings. We're going to have two bees front facing, and then we're going to have one side view. And when I stamp the wing on the side view one, we're just going to kind of offset it slightly, and then with a black fine tip marker we're going to scribble in the details for the wing, kind of like a heart shape, and that will just define the wings a lot better. And we'll just fussy cut that out, and then I realized that I forgot to put the tails on, or the stinger. That's just a little bit of fussy cutting there. And we'll just put on the stingers on these other ones here, and then we'll cut out each one of these bees. Now the two yellow eggs there, I did fussy cut them out, but then I realized afterwards that I wanted each one to have the antennas on their head, so I restamped those, and then I just drew the antenna and also the little faces. And then we'll also just fussy cut those out too. And then we'll just redefine those wings. Very quick card today. And then we'll just glue on the heads. Position one of the heads kind of angled to the left, and then the other one angled to the right. Pretty easy little bees. And I think they turned out pretty cute. Alright, so we're going to do a little bit of watercolor wash. This is a koi set. It's got 30 colors. And I was finally able to pick it up at my local Curry's craft store. They hadn't had it forever, and then I finally paid them a visit, and there it was. So I decided to grab that. And I'm just doing a quick wash with a couple of tones of blue from the kit. And nothing fancy. So just a easy wash. I'm just kind of picking up the water on the sides there because I didn't want any harsh lines when it dried. So just kind of dabbing along the edge there. And that watercolor paper is really not that great. It is watercolor paper, but it's kind of thin, so it did warp on me when I hit it with a heat gun. Okay, so here we're back with the beehive, and yes, we're gonna shade it in with a little bit of pumpkin pie just to give it some dimension, and we'll just foam tape that onto that piece, and then we'll also foam tape the bees. Before I put down the third bee, we're going to stamp the sentiment, and it's a sentiment from the kit. It's Happy Spring. That's the one we're going to be using, and we're going to stamp that with the black archival ink. And looks like I did a pretty half decent job. It looks pretty straight. And then we're just going to put that last bee right next to the sentiment. Okay, and then I did cut down that paper to 4 inches by 5 1/4. And because it's kind of warpy, I decided to put some foam on the back. And the card base, it is a top folding card base at 4 1/4 by 11, score at 5 1/2. And it was still kind of warping and annoying me, but oh well. Now with a pencil, I did sketch out some little swirls for the bee, and then we'll just put in the dash lines for each one of those. And then once the ink has dried, then I'll erase the pencil marks. Super simple card, nice and quick. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial, and I'm going to try and squeeze in a couple more. Thanks for joining me today. Bye now.